Hello and welcome to Womb Magic. This is a show dedicated to the wild and free feminine within. Hello, Mandee. How's your day so far?
Hi, Heidi. So far, so good. Just enjoyed a nice walk and had a little dance party for myself before hopping here on Moon Magic. And I always love just tuning in and playing a song or two. We talked about that last week. And yeah, I'm just feeling pretty good. I am due for my period any day now. I tend to have a longer cycle. Mine usually goes kind of, well, I want to say between 31 and 33 days, but probably between 30 days and 36 days, somewhere in there. So I'm definitely PMSy, but feeling good. So I'm grateful for that.
Amazing. Yeah, I just started my period yesterday, so I'm on day 2. And my cycle was a little shorter this time. It's been kind of moving back and forth between 26, anywhere from like 26 to 32 days. And this cycle was really short. It was 26 days. And so, yeah, I'm just feeling very grounded in that song you sent me this morning. Mandee sent me this beautiful song by, tell me if I get it wrong, Shyla Ray Medicine.
Shyla Ray Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Yep.
And the song was called Existence, and it was really beautiful. And I've heard it before, and it's just so amazing to like tune in to your body and your energy. So I was just listening to that right before this and just grounding in. So I'm super excited to be here.
Wonderful. We've got all kinds of things to talk about per use here on Womb Magic, but the first thing that I want to talk about is with Heidi. And I want to know, Heidi just started taking a new class, and I want you to tell us and our listeners all about it.
Yes. So I am doing some doula study work right now, and there was a birthing class observation requirement as a part of my course. And so I live here in Austin, Texas, and Austin born, I forget her last name. Her first name is Jamie, but she's been a doula for a few years here in Austin. And she did a class on what to expect during the birthing process and labor. So it's a 3-part class. And the first part was 2.5 hours, and it kind of went over the stages of labor. So like pre-labor, early labor, active labor, transition, and the second stage, which is pushing. And like what more perfect thing to talk about on Womb Magic than actually birthing a child and a being into this world. And so it was really fun and interesting just to see all the different humans there in the class. And there was, I want to say, 5 couples. And there was lots of like diversity represented in the little group, and I kind of got to sit off to the side and sort of be a part of the class, but also witness all that was kind of rising within the energy fields of these people getting ready to be first-time parents. And there was like no more place I would rather be than just to witness their growth and their process, and to also learn a little bit more about what it means to be inside of the laboring process, and also holding space for people there. And a couple of things one thing that's coming to mind right now that stood out to me was, so early labor, active labor, and transition, where you're getting prepared to push. All of that is kind of like a surrendering process, where you're, as the birthing person, you're coping with what's happening to you, because your body is just kind of naturally moving through the process of getting ready to push and bring the baby out of your body. And the second stage is when you transition into like harnessing this energy that was kind of building the whole time during the laboring process. So you're harnessing that energy, and then you're doing something active with it in the pushing of everything. And so I just thought it was really interesting to see kind of the flux and the flow of the energy and the laboring process, and to get to know that a little bit more. And I was even thinking about how, how our periods and our cycle really prepares us for this process, just in hearing her speak more about it. And that, where can you surrender when you're having cramps or when you're in physical discomfort? Because one thing she emphasized was that, birth is not an easy thing, and it's not without physical pain.
Mm.
And she was like, I'm never going to lie to someone and say that this is like a pain-free process, because it's not. Like, if you're going for vaginal natural birth. But what she did emphasize was that, what kind of coping mechanisms can you bring into your awareness now, in areas where you are uncomfortable, so that your physical pain doesn't then become suffering.
Mm.
And that made me think about, when I'm having really bad cramps or PMSing or whatever, what do I do for myself when I'm in this physical discomfort, to kind of pull myself into a space where I can harness that energy, either sit with it, be with it, or do something with it and transition it into something I can manage. And she emphasized that, when it becomes something that, when it's starting to transition from physical pain to suffering, that's when you have medical intervention or medicine, something like that. And I thought that was really powerful, because that's just, our lives, really. But and there was another, what was the other thing? Oh, and we did a fun little practice with ice cubes. So we got ice cubes in our hands. You had to grip the ice cubes pretty tightly and hold them for a minute. And as the discomfort and sensation increased, you're just supposed to kind of notice and be aware with what rose within you. And I found that for myself, it wasn't, I just kind of, sat there and meditated and focused on my breath and third eye space, and it was just interesting to me. And other people in the class got up and moved and did some swaying, some deep breath work, stuff like that. So it was just kind of interesting to see how everyone handled the sensation of the ice in different ways. And then we also saw a photo of a full placenta. And this is totally random, but it totally looked like the full body of the placenta looked like tree roots. It was just this beautiful patterned thing that looked like tree roots. And I was like, of course, Mother Nature everywhere. But it was beautiful, and I am super excited for the next class to see what rises.
Oh, how wonderful. What a cool experience. I'm reflecting so much. I just Googled, because I get to be here on the studio, so I have my computer up, and it does. It looks like tree roots, and it's incredible how it nourishes the baby. And that's, so is the umbilical cord connected to the placenta? Is that how it works? Because that's what it's looking like. And I haven't, I'm a novice in this. I have not had a baby. I love children, but I'm 33, and for the past over 10 years, I've really just been kind of doing my own thing, and I haven't worked with kids. I worked with kids for a long time doing I was a lifeguard and a lifeguard instructor and camp counselor and all that, and worked my way up a little at a Parks and Recreation. So I was always around kids. And then I switched my focus to adults for about the past 10 years. And it's something that's starting to rise in me. And I have a lot of friends and people I know having babies. And it's just fascinating how much there is to learn about this. And as someone who's dealt with chronic pain, I think about that. I'm like, oh, if I have a baby, like that might be really hard on my body because I have fibromyalgia. So does Heidi, and like some other things. And I've broken my back a couple times, and I'm like, oh, is that gonna like break my hips? And I don't know how that would feel. And I really loved the ice cube exercise you were talking about. I think that that could be used for so many different things, you know, for emotional triggers and physical triggers and whatnot, and how to, you know, experience breathing through a little bit of pain. Because I'm sure that did start to hurt after a little while. And I've had to
Mhm.
certainly, I've had bad ankles and whatnot my whole life. So I've certainly had to do a lot of foot ice baths and things like that. And I've gotten, yeah, and through those practices, I've gotten better at handling it. So then I'm like, oh, well, wait a minute, maybe I would be a champ. And then I'm like, well, who knows? It's probably very different for every woman depending on her body. So I'm thrilled you're taking this class, and I'm so excited to continue to learn from you.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing, and one thing I thought was interesting further about the placenta was delayed cord cutting or cord clamping is becoming more common in hospitals and birth centers and at home as well. But it's like up to 2 minutes the placenta after birth, the placenta still gives nourishment to the baby. And that's like the placenta's primary role is to like maintain vitality and transfer nourishment to the baby. And it's all kind of purpley when it comes out because it's still like it's the baby's blood like transferring fully to the baby. And so I've heard people talk about this before that you're not supposed to clamp the cord right away because it's kind of like a baby's first trauma and this now lifetime because it's like they're transitioning from that being their source of nourishment to they're breathing air and trying to figure out what's this new environment I'm in. So it's a lot more smooth of a transition into this world if you can wait to clamp it for like 2 minutes when it stops pulsing. Like the cord will be pulsing and then it'll stop pulsing. And then you can clamp it. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting and beautiful that that even like more of the Western medical community is taking note of all of this. So I just thought it was really cool.
I think so. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it makes sense biologically, you know, and it kind of had me thinking too, like if there's ever an emergency birth or something, that it's probably really important to make sure that you don't cut that cord too quickly. And it makes complete sense. But, you know, the more we know, the better we do. And did they talk a little bit about the aspect of like actually giving birth to the placenta too?
Yes. And that part she said is like pretty smooth compared to everything else. It just kind of feels weird because it's just like a very smooth, like sloshy type feeling where it just kind of slides out with one or two pushes usually. But so delivery of the placenta after the birth of the baby, and then some women even save their placenta and do like placenta encapsulation, and take the placenta as like a vitamin of sorts to like nourish their body after birth. And there's all kinds of studies on that, which is really interesting. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know that some women report that they feel like they heal faster, feel like they feel more revitalized after birth of baby if they do the placenta encapsulation thing. So yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah, the images that I have up here on Google, one of them does show a bunch of encapsulated placentas. One's an article from NPR with representing Texas, saying that Texas defends a woman's right to take placenta capsules. And then there's even someone who put it in a smoothie. And it's kind of interesting because as much as I love the divine feminine and I love to, help hold healing space for women, the first time I ever heard about placenta was when it was a kind of a taboo and a discussion because the Scientology religion was like eating the placenta and everybody was all like, oh my God, they're eating placenta. What's going on here? And I remember at the time it being a discussion and then kind of looking it up and learning that lots of other cultures, like to use it for highly nutritional value. And so it's all very interesting, but it seems to be a huge part of the birth process that we don't really talk about much. And that's what gives birth to your baby and sustains its life the whole time it's in the womb. So it's a really big part of this whole birthing process.
Mhm.
Interesting. How did you feel, or you might not be able to speak to this yet, maybe you can ask next week, but women who do have, maybe some back problems or injuries or fibromyalgia or other conditions who do also give birth, do you know anything about any of that stuff or any potential complications or ways to soothe it or any of that yet? You might not even know yet.
I don't have a lot of knowledge around that yet. And personally, just like anecdotal here, I have not decided how I feel about that. Obviously, I need more education around it to make like informed decisions. If I ever have children moving forward. But I definitely think that all of our experiences are going to come into play in anything any difficult situation we have in life, right? So if you have trauma and you don't heal the trauma, then maybe when you move into the birthing process, like that could be something that comes up when you're in a lot of physical pain. So I think that it definitely could play a role, but at the same time, I'm wondering if someone with chronic pain or fibromyalgia would be more equipped to handle the physical discomfort and process of birth because they've dealt with pain for so long. So I don't know. We'll see. I need to ask these questions, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, in our line of work, Heidi and I are both we hold a lot of healing space, and you just never know what kind of things some of our clients have been through. And, and I do find, I think that, giving birth to a child can be an incredibly transformative and healing experience, but it could also bring up other things physically, emotionally, spiritually, and whatnot. So I'm always curious and like to be prepared and like to just know a little bit about it. So, yeah, we'll just plant those seeds, and then I'm sure within a few weeks, Heidi will be telling us all about stuff. So I find that absolutely wonderful. How long is your class going to be?
It's two more classes, so it's a total of like 7.5 hours. So we shall see what rises. Super excited to share more.
Excellent. Well, speaking of birthing and whatnot, I've been taking prenatals because I've been hearing that lots of people have been taking prenatals just for their own health or to help their hair grow or nails grow, things like that. There's a woman who I walk with at the dog park every morning, and she's like in her 50s, and she's already been through menopause, and she takes prenatals just because she loves the way it feels or makes her feel. And she said that she randomly talked to a woman a long time ago. She's like probably in like the 80s or so. And she was just beautiful and really healthy and really strong. And her skin was amazing. And she was like, "What do you do?" And she said that this is in the 1980s, so she was like, probably, she's like, I still like had just had my kids a little bit before that, and I was just curious of what her secret to a long life was. And the woman she was talking to was probably in her 60s, somewhere in there. She said that she took prenatals and drank lots of water, especially mineral water, every day. So my dog park friend ever since has taken prenatals and drank lots of mineral water every day. And she does look like a rock star, so I got to give it to her. So I decided to take them because I had a lot of friends taking them, and I was like, well, let's just experiment and see kind of what happens. And so I've been taking them for about 3 weeks now or so, and the first thing I noticed was my eyebrows. My eyebrow hair grew back really fast. I'm like, oh, interesting. And then my armpit hair and my leg hair. I'm not someone who's very hairy, and I've been very lucky. All my lifeguard friends were kind of jealous of me in the summertime because I'd have to shave like once a week or so, and they'd all shave all the time. And so I noticed since taking the prenatals, my leg hair came in like super fast. I've noticed that it feels like there's just a little bit more activity in my womb space, not like, anything that hurts or whatnot, just more like energy kind of moving. And I would say this is TMI, but it's womb magic, so it's not TMI. I've had more like discharge, and I haven't really experienced that since I was a teenager. I used to a lot when I was a teenager and I was growing and probably, all my hormones were going crazy and whatnot. And then it kind of died down over the past probably, I don't know, 5 years, maybe longer than that. I don't even know. And so it's just something that I've noticed. So I know it's having some sort of impact on my body, and it seems to be a positive one so far.
I love that. I find it really interesting about the discharge. Would you say that it's beneficial, like it's positive or not? Like, what's your experience with that, if you don't mind expanding a little bit?
Positive discharge?
Awesome.
Wait, what do you mean? I'm actually sorry. I'm clarifying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I meant
just think
like,
kind of light white, nothing like, that makes it seem abnormal, like it would be an infection or anything. But makes me just feel like it's more, I don't know, more of like a healthier kind of version maybe. It seems to be very white, clear, a little thick. And so,
well, it made me beautiful. Yeah, sorry. It made me even think about like lubrication during sex and how some people use lube or whatever, and some people don't. Like, I didn't know what I was trying to get at in a very roundabout way was is that also affecting lubrication during sex, or is that just like in general you're noticing more like juiciness in your womb space and discharge?
I would say that, so for me, I tend to be pretty well lubricated most of the time. I've never really had a problem being dry. And usually that's just very clear and whatnot. And this I've noticed more like when I'm going to the bathroom and I'm like, oh, I have more like kind of like healthy white discharge from like that I remember getting when I was younger. And I remember like talking to my doctor about it, and they were like, oh no, that just means you're healthy and you're, going to be ready to reproduce and things like that, and things are all good. If there's any kind of color or smell or things like that, then it's bad. But usually it's a good thing because it's just releasing, mucus buildup and things like that, and it means that you're healthy. And this is kind of what I remember her telling me, but it's not something I've researched in quite a while. And so for me, yeah, when it comes to sex or being, lubricated, I feel really fine in that aspect, but I always have. So
awesome. I love it. Thanks for answering my questions. This is premeditated, so so we're all just kind of going with it and seeing what happens. So I appreciate your candor. And then I'm also really interested about the like energy activity in the womb space. Like, has your inner goddess been like talking to you more? Do you feel like the energy activity from the womb space is like acting as a guide in a different way? I'm just super curious. Tell me all of it.
I do. I think there's been, a lot of things. And Heidi and I love the mix of, mind, body, soul, spirit. And we entered a new moon this week in the beginning of the week in Gemini. Gemini seems to be kind of like one of the months that kind of brings out the crazy in people. But for me, it's actually kind of made me feel lighter and more grounded. And, my partner and I are feeling more connected. We had some serious talks last week and kind of wanting to improve and step up our relationship as much as we can. And that's been going really nicely. So, what was your original question, Heidi? Do you remember?
Like what's been this new energy activity in your womb space, and has it been guiding you? What's been the sensation?
Yeah, it just feels like every now and then I'll just feel like it just feels like there's more kind of energy flowing that way. And like I've been in a weight loss journey for a really long time. I hold a lot of fat along my lower abdominals, and so it's been something I've kind of numbed out for a long time and haven't paid attention to my womb space because I felt shame because of that. And I felt myself kind of like giving myself like massages on like my upper thighs and my hips and my belly a little bit more. And I've been singing more, which is exciting. I've been wanting to sing for a while, and lately I've just been like noticing I want to sing, and I've been a little bit more creative and writing and creating things on graphic design for our businesses and whatnot. And I've just kind of noticed that it's giving me, I don't know, almost like a little bit of a buzz or just a little extra pep in my step. And the only thing different that I've been doing is adding in these prenatals, because I do celery juice most mornings. I do a lot of juices. I try to do a lot of raw fruits and veggies and healthy eating, and that certainly affected my energy for a while. But I know a significant difference now that I've been taking these prenatals. And the vaginal discharge, I have to say, I haven't really noticed it too much until like this past week, and I think like before, because it's part of like my period coming up. And I remember when I was a teenager that I would always get some normal healthy white discharge before my period would come. So it's all very interesting.
It feels very I'm just kind of getting intuitively a little bit. If I may, do I have permission to just like give you a little intuitive what I hear here?
Always. This is it. So for our listeners, this is a lot of what Heidi does. So enjoy this little tidbit she's given out.
Yeah, it just feels so much like inner guidance is what I'm hearing, and then also high priestess rising further for you. And it feels very much like this Isis, womb magic, sex goddess, creatrix rising. And, it's super normal to have that like juicy flow of energy as well as fluid, moving in and out of our womb spaces, out of the yoni space. And it just feels very strong that your creator energy is rising in a different way. And you're stepping into your power, your voice is rising because of opportunities to speak up have been stepped into. So it just feels like your power is being circulated into your life in greater ways. And I also want to say we're really big on linguistics here and utilizing empowering language. And I just feel like adipose tissue is a more loving way to speak about your body.
I was so close to saying that. I don't know why. I was like adipose, and then I was like, oh, that's too technical.
I love it. I tend to be like technical with that stuff, anyways. But I just don't like the word fat. I was in a yoga class not too long ago, and the instructor used the word fat, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna punch someone in the face, because like you never know who is triggered by that word, and I personally find it really triggering. So anytime I hear it, I'm like, I'm gonna hug it out of you.
I love that, and it's true because we do associate fat with negative so often, just because of our society.
Yeah, our bodies are so diverse and so beautiful, and we all have so much to give. And I love that you're singing more. Mandee is a beautiful songstress, and we all need to hear her beautiful voice some point. At some point, you'll have to sing us a song when you feel ready. But yeah, I'm super excited that that's rising for you. That's such a, utilizing, Mandee is like expressing what it is to utilize your womb magic power and manifest it into your life in different ways. And that's the power of the divine feminine flowing in your life. And so thank you for just being yourself and letting us witness you today and always.
And thank you for the intuitive guidance. And I absolutely agree. I feel like I'm back a little. I was born very much. I've been reflecting upon this lately, and I was very much born like a mother and a nurturer. And it's like who my soul is at a core essence. I think when I'm up in the ethers in my higher self, I think it's very much very motherly, very divine feminine, very goddess. And so I came in with this sense of authority and knowing and my claircognizance and stuff. And so I would get called, too much a lot or obnoxious or just like I always wanted to step up, or bossy, because I always wanted to step up and lead. And often I did know a lot of the times what to do and what was right, but it would trigger the adults around me. And I absolutely think for a little while I was definitely a little obnoxious. We all learn and grow as little human beings. And so it's something that I really, the past probably 10 years, have humbled myself. And I'm like, how about I sit back and I just learn for a while? And I learn and I integrate and I lead as much as possible, but I don't like step in and take initiative right away. Like every time I was in a group, I'd always get like elected the leader. People would like look straight to me to do things. Or if I was with my friends or we were at a party or something, I remember being like a teenager and like something happened and like three of my friends like came running up to me like, Mandee, help us, like, and I'm like, I'm always the go-to for that. And so it's something that I've put on the back burner because I wanted to humble myself and I wanted to learn and I wanted to be more of a receiver and a team player as well, so I could learn to be a better leader in the future. And I feel like my priestess and my higher self and my divine feminine are all coming together now and really bringing that back out of me. And I feel the mother dropping back in and my loving authority coming back in. And I'm just excited for myself. And I'm interested to see how and where I grow from this. And I'm honored to be in this incarnation and be experiencing this on a human level. So we'll see what's to come for me. But I know it's unearthing a lot of singing right now. So that's exciting.
That's beautiful. I love that so much. Mm.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. You never know, when things inspire you, let it inspire you. So like, I I like country music a lot, and when I'm in the car, I love old school radio, and I still put old school radio on all the time. And like, I listen to like a country music station, and there's this newer artist, Luke Combs, who is just like blown up, and everybody loves him. And I love his voice, and I love his songs, and I'm able to sing them easier than I am able to sing other songs. And so I've been listening to a lot of his stuff and just singing along with it, and that's what's been inspiring me the most right now.
That's
So,
amazing.
if something inspires you and just feels right, go with it. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I'm hippy dippy and spiritual and all this good stuff, but like, I still like to get down with country music and other things. And whatever nourishes your soul, whatever excites you and invites you, that's where your path is meant to step into next. We get so caught up in putting so many pressures on ourselves to conform to society or to do better, to make money, that we forget often that, little inspirations and the things that bring us joy and contentment and peace and excitement are the things that are leading us to the next steps along our soul's path. And if we can just relax into that and let things inspire you, it's amazing what can be revealed.
I love that so much. It just had me thinking about a little random thing that was like inspiring me and just was fun yesterday. So a while back, I took the Pottermore quiz to see what house I was sorted into because I love Harry Potter.
That's awesome.
And I'm a Slytherin, which I'm totally gonna own because Slytherins have the potential to be really dark, but can be just really like powerful and do good in the world and whatnot. And so I had my partner take the quiz last night because I was like, we have to see what house you are. And I feel that play and fun and like frivolity is kind of rising in me right now because I have a tendency to sometimes get a little too serious or in my head about things. And so, anyways, he took the quiz. He's a Ravenclaw, so Slytherin and Ravenclaw forever. And I think I'm going to start reading the Harry Potter books again because why not? And it's fun and it's different and sparks my imagination and makes me want to write more. And writing is really rising for me right now. So I was like, what a fun way to just kind of get my creative juices flowing a little bit more, and see what comes from that. You never know what kind of seemingly silly thing is going to be a part of your creative journey and evolution here.
Oh yeah. And we come down here to learn and feel and explore, and and the way we reveal our paths is by being present, and especially enjoy if we can. And so anything that's nostalgic or fun or whatnot that inspires you, you got to jump into. Even if it's something, that sounds silly like a little Harry Potter quiz, it's not. And it's inviting you back into your inner child and possibilities and dreaming, and it gets all of our chakras moving again, and especially for women, that womb space and your sacral region really, lining up and creating new ideas and vision and life potential. I took that quiz. Do you want to know what house I'm from?
What house?
What's your guess?
Are you a Gryffindor?
I'm such a Gryffindor.
I love it so much.
What's your explanation of the Gryffindor people?
I feel like Gryffindor and Slytherin are like super similar, but Gryffindor has a tendency to get more awards. I don't know. I don't know what else. I love. Wasn't Hermione also a Gryffindor?
I think.
And I love
so.
her. She was like super witty and smart. Also like somewhat of a rule follower, but also like likes the, like for you, I see it like you being a speaker, a teacher, enjoying the good rapport that you establish with the people that are following you. And it just makes me think of how you're talking about, like you went through a journey of like feeling like you wanted to be humble so that you could better like move forward with your life's purpose here. And yeah, so I just think that that's very Gryffindor of you to do that. But I don't know quite how to explain it in any other terms at this now moment.
I love it. I think it's beautiful and it makes perfect sense to me. And yeah, and I love little things like that inspire us and keep us going. I've been writing a book for a while, and I put it down because when I wrote it, I triggered my mom, and I was just trying to figure out how to kind of rearrange it so that I wouldn't trigger her as much, or so I would protect my family. And I like put my book down, and I haven't written in it for like a year. And our producer from the Alchemy Sisters originally, our good friend Drew Pillow, he's also going to be coming on and doing some things here on Heart Over Ego Radio. And if you followed our journey for a while, I'm sure you've heard him. But he is writing a book, and he's been, so gracious to share it with me and Jenny, the Alchemy Sisters, as he's been writing. And it's really been encouraging me and sparking all kinds of new life into me and making me be like, all right, it's time to revisit my story again. And it's safe and it's okay to tell my story. And I'll do it in a little bit of a better way this time, a more gentler way to kind of, get my points across, but also to, protect my family because that's important to them. And, and it's all very interesting. So you just never know. And like all that came from, Drew being like, hey, I'm writing a book. Will you read a little bit of it for me? And I'm like, of course. And then it just, boom, I like held space for him. And then it triggered all of these new things for me. Triggers don't always have to be bad. They can be good to start writing again. And I had all these ideas and memories and flashbacks and, I need to write about this and that. And you just never know what'll inspire you. If there's one thing from today's show, that I could tell our listeners, it's just do your best to stay present Try to, observe your feelings and your thoughts as much as possible. If you're advanced enough, try to kind of maybe sit with them, but then also control them. Like if you're feeling sadness or pain, just like Heidi was explaining earlier with the birthing process, how can I just sit with this and be present with this and maybe allow it to move through me, as in instead of like attack me or force me to feel suffering. I could say, oh, this is just like a different experience and it's growing me and it's making me stronger. And there's always ways to reframe things. And so, yeah, if there's one thing from today, it's just be present and allow life to kind of move through you as you witness it and allow it to inspire you.
Mm, that feels really complete.
It does. It does.
Beautiful.
Well, with that said, thank you all for joining us always here on Heart Over Ego Radio. I'm Mandee Elam. My amazing co-host and founder of this show is the beautiful Heidi Summers, and we host a weekly discussion here on Friday mornings on Heart Over Ego Radio. Come play with us on Facebook. We started a new Facebook page called Womb Magic Movement. You can come on there, play with us, write, comment, share things. It's a nice space to be in the womb. I kind of call it our womb space, and I like it. And we just kind of are getting that energy moving and would love more followers. Heidi, what else would you like to add at the end of our show?
I have just fully enjoyed this time we've played together today. And you can find, I'll just say we also have our personal Facebook pages. You can find me at Heidi Summers, Heidisummers, and you can find Mandee at Mandee Elam, Mandeeelam. And thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate each and every one of you.
All of our love, light, and gratitude. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.
Bye.
Bye.